Well, Coach, nationally ranked opponent this week, 1-0 in conference. What are you excited about for Saturday afternoon?
Just another opportunity to compete. NFL Stadium. Excited to see the Red Wave go travel and cheer loud. Just being able to go compete with this team, that's the main thing. I think our team's in a good spot. This will be our 5th straight game after a good training camp, and we've been having great weeks of practice. So looking forward to tomorrow and then Wednesday and then Thursday and getting out there and then playing a good game, playing a complete game. So that's what's exciting me right now.
So you were part of a period of UNLV football with the stadium coming in, new facilities coming in, building things, and now Barry Odom's running with it. What do you have the most respect for with the job he's done in this short time there?
Yeah, I was there, and everything that's there now is just drawings and stuff. And the facility started with the facility, and then you're hearing the Raiders are going to move there, and then they built the stadium up and all that. So it's exciting times in Vegas, entertainment capital of the world. So it's good to be there for them at this stage. My time there was a little rough. We were in the transition phase, kind of getting it to where it is now. I know their athletic director pretty well, Eric Harper. He does a great job. He's a football guy, former player, so he's building that thing up, and Barry Odom's doing a great job. I mean, a really good job of building the team and using the portal to his advantage and recruiting hard, and they're playing hard for him. And I've been up against him when I was at Florida, and he was the head coach of Missouri, so I know how his teams are, and they're very disciplined, and their technique sound and all those things. So it'll be a battle to the end.
And from Saturday's win in Albuquerque, what was the most encouraging thing for you to carry forward out of that one?
Yeah, so that game was a little different. It was windy, very windy in the beginning, so we needed to start fast, and we were against the win in the first quarter. So we needed to get points, and we ended up getting points there. And in the second quarter, we kind of took off a little bit when we had the win. So that was huge. And then to start the second half good and get some more points and then keep the lead through the fourth was awesome. Just to see the guys play 4 quarters and enjoy it and get our first road win and all that stuff to set up for the next week. So that was good to see.
How's it going, Coach?
Great.
Great job on the victory. When I was watching the highlight video of the win against the Lobos, you kept mentioning before and after the game the whole get-back time. In the locker room, what does the get-back time mean?
It's a lot. It meant get our first win because the first time we went on the road, we didn't win against Michigan, right? So we wanted to get our first win, and then we wanted to beat New Mexico. I mean, they beat us last year pretty soundly and good here in Valley Children's Stadium. So it was a get back for a lot of different things, but those are the 2 main things. We wanted to make sure we went out there and we played Bulldog football against New Mexico because last time we played them here, we didn't play Bulldog football, and they destroyed us, to be blunt. So we wanted to get back for that, and then also winning on the road. We always want to win on the road and accept that challenge, and we were able to do that. So that's pretty much all it was.
Oh, for sure. And surprisingly, on the stat sheet, the Lobos had more total yards, passing yards, and receiving yards, where one might think that on paper they had all the advantages. So from your perspective, what is it about this team that even with that, they still find an edge and the team still finds a way to win? Yeah,
I mean, their offense is a little unorthodox. Their quarterback's a great athlete, moves around. So it turns all the plays into scramble-type plays or scramble drill-type stuff. So it gets a little funky, a little weird, right? So for us, we wanted to cause turnovers. We wanted to keep them out the end zone. That was our whole emphasis, and we did that. We wanted to contain the quarterback to where he wasn't running, getting a whole bunch of yards. We did that for the most part. But such a great athlete, he's going to get out of there sometimes, and he found some receivers and things like that. Good thing is we got him down on the ground and we kept him out the end zone. So forced 3 turnovers, so it was a successful day for us. But, when you get in those type of situations, the yards and the stats should kind of go out of the question. We're not worried about that so much, So felt good with how we played on defense, and we just keep moving forward.
Oh, for sure. You did a great job of containing their quarterback. And so far, what's the update of Malik Sherrod and Cameron Braca?
Yeah, so with Braca, probably going to be a long-term thing. We'll have to. It'll take some time, and we'll find out about him as we keep going through this thing. But I will say this: he's a tough kid. He's a fast healer. So we'll see how it goes after a couple of weeks go by, and we'll see where we're at with Malik. Hopefully he can get out there and practice, and we can go. He kind of got tweaked in practice last week, and that's why he couldn't go when it was a game-time decision that he couldn't go. So hopefully we get him back, but it's all about how we practice and how he looks and all that stuff. So we'll see once we get towards the end of the week.
Morning, Coach. Being a former linebacker yourself, how would you describe how CV plays and what he has meant to the defense so far?
Oh, man, he's awesome. The former linebacker part is just good to see him. He's very vocal and running around. You see that hair waving, plays with a lot of energy and those types of things. The thing I'd say about Steve is he's a great leader. He's always has juice, always, whether it's good or bad. Even he'll have some bad plays, and he's still moving on to the next thing. So a lot of energy. He's going to tackle. He's going to hit you. I love that how he shocks and sheds guys. Like, he doesn't stay blocked. He doesn't stay sticky to people. He's always around the ball. He's running downfield. Like, there's completions, and he's going and chasing receivers down and stuff. So love that kid. I've had a prior relationship with him before here, and it's just great to see how he's playing. For a lot of people that don't know, he hurt his shoulder. He had surgery in the spring of last year, and then he came back ahead of schedule. Like, he's that type of guy. Then in the game, he had some shoulder stuff come up, and he didn't come out. He wouldn't come out the game. He said, I'm staying in there, and played every snap. So he's a tough dude. Love him. He deserves everything he has. He's worked for it all.
It's been decades since UNLV has had this kind of start. Is this the biggest matchup you can recall in your time here with them?
That's a great question, something I don't really think about. Maybe, possibly. We still early in the season and things like that. But it's definitely they're a good team, and I just like that the matchup is two good teams that are in the same conference, and we have a lot to play for. Whether it's the biggest game between us, I don't know all that stuff, but I know it's going to be a highly competitive game once we get here on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to it and excited for it. Definitely. Coach Coyle does a great job with the defense. We're always preaching turnovers. He always gives them some kind of history lesson in his own little way of something that's going to hit the guys and touch them a little bit before the game goes. Obviously, he coached me, so I know how he can get people ready to go play. Does a great job before we hit the field on Saturdays of reminding them of things and keys to the game and stuff like that. But I really think we're well coached. I think we have great coaches on the defensive side of the ball. I think the players respect them and listen to them, and they do exactly what we're preaching them to do as we're coaching them throughout the week, and the guys just buy in. I think the buy-in is a big deal. The back of this room here, there's a brotherhood sign back there you can read, and we are starting to form that brotherhood. And once you get that brotherhood, that's when you start making all these plays, and the guys are complimenting each other, and we look a lot faster than we actually are, and it seems like there's 15 guys out there and not 11, and things like that start happening. So I like the direction we're going there. We're going to have a big challenge this week, and we just have to keep it going. Yeah, they're going to give you some formations you don't normally see. So that's where it all starts, and then they're going to try to manipulate ways in the run game to get yards. I mean, they're going to do whatever they have to do with motions and formations and things like that. They're a very good run team. Their quarterback, who transferred in from Holy Cross, is doing a great job with them in a short amount of time of learning that offense and executing it. So it's going to be a challenge. They have a lot of threats. They have receivers that are fast too, and the quarterback's good and accurate enough to get it to those guys. So it's going to be a challenge for us. I'm excited for it, though. That's why you get into this business and into these games is for these type of challenges. So we go on the road, play in NFL State, and play at their house. But I know the Red Wave will be there, and it'll be exciting.
Congratulations, Coach. Other than the two injuries you talked about, were there any other key injuries that you came out of the game?
Not so much from out of the game. Just trying to hope we get some guys back. Corey Foreman wasn't out there. Hopefully we can get him back if his body allows it to happen. Mose is also another one we're hoping we can get back. So we survived the game pretty good. Other than Cam, that was a big deal, right? And then we'll see how we go throughout the practice and getting guys back in here. But I think our team is going into 5 straight games, and I think we're battling through some stuff. There's guys playing through bruises and things like that, and it's football, right? It's the beginning of the season. Stuff's going to happen. Next man up, and if the guys that we're starting can go, then we'll go.
I noticed that you did more trick rate plays. I expected them to do more plays, gadget plays than you came out doing more than normal. So I expected the other team to do that more.
We got all kinds of tricks up our sleeves. It's just a matter of the situation if you see them or not. To me, their offense, their quarterbacks, he was like a magician. So a lot of the stuff they were doing was a lot of trickery to me. Just with anytime he got out the pocket, you didn't know what was going to happen. So they have their own ways of doing things. I think we kept them out of some of that stuff that they've done it previously in previous other games. So it's just every game has its own life and history. So that's the way that game played out.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
So you mentioned that this was your get-back game, getting revenge for last year. UNLV is going to want some revenge for last year as well, from last year's loss. How do you stay hungrier than the hungry Rebels who want to come in and get some get-back?
Yeah, it's all for the love of winning, right? It's all the love of winning, love of competition. It doesn't matter how many times you compete against somebody, you always want to win, right? So they'll definitely have a bad taste from last year. I know they believe they should have won that game for a couple of plays, and we were able to make the couple of plays to get the win. So this might have the same history this game coming up. We're going to have to make the key plays. We're going to have to win the critical situations and make the best team win.
And make those tough decisions like you made at New Mexico, going for fourth downs, passing on field goals for 3rd and 13, which you converted to score a touchdown later. What gives you confidence to make those type of tough calls on 4th downs?
It's all about situations and where we are on the field and how the game's going and what happened to play previous. Those type of things all play into it. We're blessed to have a good kicker too, so that's always in the back of your mind also. But if you feel like you can get it on 4th down, you might as well go for it and be aggressive. So that's kind of how it played out in that game.
And speaking of kickers, Dylan Lynch, Mountain West Special Teams Player of the Week. You always mention the kicking game when you talk about all 3 phases. What about Dylan Lynch is a key part of this team?
He was awesome. Like I talked about in the beginning, there was a lot of wind, right? And he was 3 for 3. He dealt with all that stuff. I think he hit from 32, 36, and 41 in the game. Showed a lot of power kicking through the wind and stuff. And we have a lot of confidence in him. He's been pretty consistent for us, so we'll keep on trusting on him. And who knows, might come down to him this week.
You keep finding more contributors on different sides of the ball, especially that Cameron Beecham shows up and scores a touchdown. Josiah Freeman with a big game when he came back. Raylan Sharp with a touchdown pass. You keep finding different guys who are making contributions. How good is that for you on the offensive side to just have all these different names? Donaldson, a guy who's coming in, and having all these different guys contribute on that side of the ball.
It's huge, right? And you're trying to get the rock to the playmakers, and we're going to keep doing that. I think Mikey targeted 10 different people in the game that he got the ball to. So that is huge. And like I've always said, if you're able to play and you're a baller, you're going to get out there somehow, some way. And if you touch it once, you touch it 10 times, whatever it is, impact the game. We're going to try to use as many guys as we can. The more people that can go, the better. So that's exciting. And hopefully we can get even more out there.
Early kickoff, 12:30. What changes on the game day prep when you guys have an early kickoff like this? Probably the earliest we're going to have this year, at least from the regular season side.
We don't get our afternoon nap now. That's basically the main difference. We just wake up and go play the game now. It's not wake up, walk through, eat breakfast, go back to the room, lay around for 3 hours, then eat pregame meal and do some more walkthrough stuff, then go play. Now we get to wake up and go like when we were kids, right? All games were always in the morning. So that's kind of normal to me. We're a morning practice team, so I'm kind of excited about that. We'll get home, and it's not 2 a.m. and everybody's tired and all that stuff. The sunlight hopefully will be out a little bit. Thank you.
Morning, everybody.
Turnover is a big part of the game last Saturday, right? And it continues to be the story of this team so far defensively. What stands out to you most about the way they hunt and attack the ball, especially on defense?
Well, it's an emphasis that we make all the time. I think our players are very aware of how it impacts the game. And actually on that first 3rd down, we had 2 guys that were getting after it pretty good there. Both Cam Lockridge and Malachi were punching and reaching in there to get the ball out. So that was, great to start the game that way and get field position and have an opportunity to turn it into points. We had a couple of timely interceptions that were really good, and kind of just takes if a team's getting some momentum, we were able to kind of flip that there during the course of the game, and really we consider the fourth down stop to be a turnover as well, and that was really big at the latter part of the game where we stopped them on fourth down on the 12-yard line, I believe, and went right in and scored after that. So turnovers are going to be big. Right now we're on pace to have a good year that way, but it's a week-to-week type thing, and hopefully we continue to practice hard that way, and it shows up on Saturday.
Speaking of the punching out and all that stuff, every time you watch a tackle made by this defense, there's a fight for the ball more than really just bringing the guy down. There's a fight for the ball. Tell us about the emphasis on that and what you kind of have in your philosophy of them going after the ball like that.
Well, first and foremost, we have to secure the tackle, but we try to educate them in terms of how the ball carrier carries the ball during the week. If someone has poor ball security, we make a big point of that. But then also as to locating the ball as you approach the ball carrier or the receiver. What arm does he have it in? Does he have it high and tight, or is it loose? And if it is loose, how is it loose? Where is it a punch? Is it a rake? Is it a strip? Do you come with an uppercut? All those things come into play, and it's split-second decisions that players have to make at that point. But if you practice it, it becomes second nature, and we do drills each week. We have turnover circuits and things like that emphasize those situations.
And then the challenges coming into this week. UNLV's off to a really good start. What have you seen so far from this group that makes them the ranked team that they are right now?
Well, first of all, they run the football really effectively, and they try to control the clock. They're averaging over 33 minutes a game of possession. I think they're fifth in the nation in rushing right now at 293 yards a game rushing. Those are some pretty big numbers. But they run it like I believe they're averaging 70 plays a game, and they're running it 53 times and throwing it 17. And when they throw, they make some real timely throws and big plays because of the commitment people are making to stop the run. And as Coach Skipper said, they give you some unconventional formations. A lot of two-back looks, but two-back looks where both backs are on the same side, either strong or weak, and different things they do. So they present problems in terms of the run game, and the quarterback is outstanding. He's a great addition to their team. I'm very familiar with Holy Cross, having coached there for 9 years back in the 80s. So I always follow them, and I followed him in his career there, and he was outstanding for them. Took them to the playoffs and deep into the playoffs. He's a dual threat. Very smart, very strong runner. He's more elusive than you think. When he takes off, he makes big plays. Statistically, he's their leading rusher, but when you add up all their running backs, they've got about 5 different guys that they rotate in there at the running back position. They got a mixture of experienced guys that have been around and some freshmen that are playing, true freshmen. So they keep the backs fresh. They keep pounding the ball. They've run some options on the perimeter that are difficult, and we have to really be on point in terms of defending the run this week.
Morning, Coach.
Hi.
You guys had a lot of turnover over the offseason, 6 new starters, but this defense looks just as good as last year's. What are some of the reasons for that?
Good players, and I like to think that we get them in some good positions to make plays, but at the end of the day, it's the way these guys have embraced everything and the way they work. We're defending the run better than we have in the past, even though they got some running yards the other night. Some of it came on some option plays that they ran, they checked into, and I got to do a better job of getting us in and out of some certain things. And then they ran the ball late in the game when we were defending the pass. So I was pretty pleased with how we defended the design runs during the course of the game last week. We've got skill guys that can cover. You can see that. Guys are making plays on the ball down the field. And it's a good mixture. I think our front is playing as good as it's played. Those guys are doing a great job. The linebacking core has been really strong, and guys in the back end are making plays throughout the game. So it's a good combination, and hopefully we can keep it up.
And we just heard that Cameron Braca could be out for a long time. Kind of like a couple years ago when Evan Williams went down, you got to replace a good safety.
Yep.
How did you do it then, and how do you do it now? And how different is it from Evan Williams being gone?
How do I do it then? I can't remember Saturday's game, nonetheless, a couple of years ago. But I think, it's just guys stepping up, guys making plays. I remember L.J. Early did a really good job stepping up in that latter part of that first year. And Steve Comstock came in and made strong contributions. We've had a number of guys that have worked at the safety spot as well as the nickel spot, and Cam it's a difficult loss because he's so valuable in both places. He played, half of his snaps were at nickel and half of them were at safety, depending upon the situation. So we need guys to step up in both spots, but that's what football's about. Next man up, and we've got guys that are getting reps and have been getting reps throughout practice. So we'll just plug them in, and hopefully they'll perform at a high level.
Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
You touched upon having to really focus on stopping that run game against UNLV this week. Can you talk about what is really key in stopping the run game, whether it be schematic, mentality, what it really takes in order to neutralize a run game? I mean, I'm a Cowboys fan. We can't figure it out for the life of us. So.
Well, I think it's a combination of what you said. It's a mentality. You have to take the field with the intention of not allowing people to run the football, because then everything kind of stems from that. If you can make teams have to throw it when you want them to throw it, it changes the complexion of the game. Schematically, you have to do things to commit people to the run game, but you can't do it at the expense of putting undue pressure on the perimeter guys being out there one-on-one. This team has some very good receivers. And we saw that last year when we played them. They had guys that made some big plays in our game, and we got to limit the explosive plays. But I think we're going to have to mix, what we're doing schematically to try to stop the run, but be smart. This guy can throw the football. He makes some big plays throwing the ball, and he's got some explosive receivers down the field. So, it's not like any other. It's not unlike any other week in that we have to stop the run and do that by changing things up during the course of the game.
Coach, when you see Cam go down like that, what are your initial thoughts, or do you even have time to process that?
Well, I was, I felt for Cam. I saw the replay, and he got engaged with the offensive lineman that had pulled back across the formation, and he was actually coming on a pressure, and then he fought to try to get off the block, and the guy kept, actually, I thought the guy held him, to be quite honest with you, and then as he held him, he pancaked him into the ground at the very end of the play, and it was just the way he landed. He kind of landed half like on his side, on his shoulder, but with all that weight coming down on him. It wasn't like he got knocked on his back or he fell face forward. I think it was just the way he fell that caused the injury. But then you just got to keep moving to the next down and the next series. And he's such a great great young man and has added so much to the team that we've got a number of guys that have to step up and hopefully fill his shoes. But he'll come back, and I'm not sure when that's going to be. But he's a bulldog through and through, and he's going to fight his way back, and he'll be probably ready before people think he should be.
And then CV with 16 tackles. We haven't seen that since 2018. What has he meant to the defense so far?
He's been incredible. He just he plays with such passion. His energy, his fierce, relentless competitiveness. When you talk about watching tape and seeing a guy that's a true warrior on the field, that's the best way to describe him. And I told the players yesterday, we showed them a couple of plays. Everybody's trying to do the best job they possibly can, and then there's some guys that when you watch tape, they just jump off the tape. They jump off the tape not just by their ability, but by their effort. You can see it. You see it on tape. You see it when you watch from the stands. You can just see those types of things. And I told the players that's what you look at when we're evaluating high school players too. They have ability, but how hard do they play? Do they finish plays? Do they compete right every single snap? Do they not take plays off? CV's that way. And it's the same way as when you're looking as an NFL coach and you're looking at players. You don't want to just see a guy that has ability. It's the guy that has ability and plays with that passion, and you could just see it as you watch the film. And CV's doing a great job that way.
How's it going, Coach?
Good.
Great victory on Saturday. To build upon what they were asking about, Braca, obviously he's going to be absent on Saturday. So I'm assuming that you'll be looking for the depth players like Kosi Agina and Jaden Davis to step up in his absence. When they're in the game, what will they have to do in the secondary to contain the UNLV wide receivers come game day?
Well, these receivers are very they're dangerous. They got the little guy, 21, who is really explosive, quick, was a great returner last year as well as a receiver. He's made a lot of explosive plays for them. And 11 was one of the top receivers in the country and can do a lot of things. So, and then they have, a group of other guys that rotate through there that are talented. One transfer from Texas, and they've got talent. And so the big thing is when we do play single high coverages, be able to win on the outside one-on-one, and when we're playing two deep type coverages, make sure that nothing's getting over the top, and they have some well-designed deep type throws that attack deep coverage, and we got to make sure that we get those reps throughout the week so that we're prepared to defend them come Saturday.
No, for sure. And I mean, we can't speak more about UNLV and what they've done. They're ranked, they're undefeated and stuff like that, but they're coming off their bye week, which means that they'll be more rested and have more practice time to get ready for you. On the defensive side, what will the Bulldogs D have to do in terms of extra preparation or any additional emphasis or additional things to get ready for a team that, is pretty much, well rested come game day?
Well, you can't control what the other team's plan is. Their formula for success has been pretty obvious since Coach Odom has gotten there. They play good defense. They try to control the football. They've got playmakers on the perimeter. The quarterback doesn't make a lot of mistakes. It's a simple formula, and it's been tremendously successful for them over the last 2 years, really. So. We're just going about our normal business. There's certain things you emphasize each week as you prepare, and that'll be the unique aspects of their offense, and we'll try to hit that stuff here early in the week, and by the end of the week, have a good overall feeling for what we expect them to try to do. And because they've had a little extra time, there'll be something that'll be different, and that's no different than most weeks. It's just maybe a little bit more. But, this team is not a team that tries to recreate the wheel every week. They do what they do, and they do it well. They run the football. Their offensive line plays really well together. They're physical. They're a unit that I think is really well coached. So we got to stop what they do best and be able to react to things that we haven't seen and do our best to try to defend those.
No, for sure. And right now, currently, Cam Lockridge is ranked third in college football in interceptions. Corey Foreman is third in forced fumbles, and overall, the defense is ranked in the top 10 in turnovers. Does this give you a competitive advantage or confidence, into going into a UNLV team that has a dynamic offense as well?
It all depends on how we perform this week. I mean, we're still early in the season. This is a point where it's a very important game because it's a really good opponent and we're on the road again. But we still have a long way to go as a defense and as a team, and this is just a next big challenge, and it's a big game because both teams have kind of created it by the success we've had early in the year. But we'll have to come out and play our best football.
Coach, you talked about DeJesus and White, those receivers. Last year, the tight end, Ballin guy, had a pretty big game against you. The Valley guy from up in Tracy. And 6'7", 265, they list him. You've already seen maybe the best tight end in the country when you played Michigan, but what kind of matchup issues does 19 present?
Just like you mentioned, his size alone presents some matchup problems. They haven't thrown the ball that much this year to any of the receivers. So, but we are very aware of the talent that they have at that spot as well as the outside guys. So, he kind of surprised us a little bit last year with his effectiveness in the game. So we'll have to be very aware of situations when they may try to get the ball to him. And hopefully we can do a better job than what we did a year ago.
And you've coached in a whole bunch of NFL stadiums, but do you get a sense for your guys defensively playing in an NFL stadium this week that means something to them?
Yeah, I think it does. They get excited. I was trying to figure out if it had a retractable roof or not. I guess it doesn't. I thought it might have. I was kind of hoping it would have, but because those afternoon games are fun. I was hoping for a nice sunny day and that type of thing. But I think the players enjoy that. You got the big jumbotrons and just the atmosphere in general. We were there a couple of years ago. It's a beautiful stadium, and I think that adds to the excitement of the game. But really, when you kick it off, it's still 100 yards by 53 1/3, and we're just out there playing. But the pregame stuff and just the general electricity in the air, I think there'll be a lot of emotion going into the game. Great, thank you.
Coach, let's start with the guys who never get enough attention. How proud were you of the effort of the offensive line Saturday night, especially considering how many guys weren't available?
Yeah, they, I think that they protected the quarterback really well. We had one sack that, I was a little disappointed in just because I didn't think that we needed to really take the sack. And we had guys open, and so, to me that was kind of a combination of the O-line and the quarterback. But at the end of the day, I thought they protected really well. There was one drive, I think it was 11 or 12 plays. They pressured us on 9 of them early in the third quarter. So, the challenge was really just kind of the havoc that they tried to create up front, and I thought our guys handled that, especially in pass protection, really well.
And you had a drive in the first half. It was a 75-yard drive, but you had to overcome 25 yards worth of penalties on that drive to get in the end zone. When you have a drive like that early in the game, do you feel like an emotional power of that beyond the points on the board because of what you had to overcome?
Yeah, the frustrating thing the other night was we had multiple drives where, due to penalties or snap issues or whatever, that we constantly found ourselves behind the chains. I think it's really it's a big thing from a mental standpoint when you just kind of prove that you can overcome those things. There comes times where you can only overcome so many of them. But it absolutely is one of those things where it's very empowering when you know that we can overcome minor setbacks. Setbacks are temporary, and we talk all the time. Hey, we've survived 100% of our worst days. Like, we can overcome a penalty or two, on a drive and still be productive.
The other thing that really stood out Saturday, there were a lot of firsts, right? Donaldson's first touchdown, Freeman's first touchdown this year, Beacham's first touchdown ever. Keep going down the list. Gilliam's first this year. Liam touches the ball for the first time. Obviously, it's fun for those guys when they get to do something they haven't done before, but is there a bigger picture value for the team when you have that many guys involved?
Yeah, I talk about it in the offensive staff room a lot. We talk about game reps, and if you can, build legitimate game day reps for guys, and if, say, a guy plays 10 plays and he does that 6 times, by the 6th game, he's basically played the equivalent of a full game. And that pays off in the long run because ultimately you want your twos to start looking more like the ones. You want the guys to start evolving from a depth standpoint. That's how you build depth. And for guys to get those experiences in games is extremely valuable if you want to be a championship team. Like, you can't just hope that those guys are ready when they get there. You gotta help build that depth, and you gotta help go through those times where there's also times where you put a guy in a situation and he doesn't make the play, but usually that pays off in the long run. So you got to create opportunities for guys, and it was awesome to see. I mean, we had a bunch of guys. Lyndon Ravar had his first catch. The list does go on, as far as guys getting some opportunities, and it just kind of proves that we do have some quality depth, and that's only going to build.
How's it going, Coach?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Great victory. Speaking of that, depth and opportunities, Raylan Sharp did a little bit of everything that game. I mean, he used his hands for catching and throwing against the Lobos. With that, will you drop some new plays for him to use, kind of like a Deebo Samuel? I mean, he showed he could catch and throw, but will he get some carries to add to his productivity on the offense?
Yeah, well, there was one that Josh Wood ended up carrying the ball that if the defense would have given us a different look, we would have handed the ball off to Raylan. So he's just got a really unique skill set. He was legitimately. He was the Allen High School starting quarterback in Texas. I mean, that's no small feat in itself either. And so he has a really unique skill set that we just want to make sure we use. And it's funny, we joked about it last week. I mean, he had no warm-up throws in practice when we practiced that play and threw just as good of a ball as he did in the game. I mean, he's incredible, and so it's just making sure that we use guys' skill sets, and Raylan's got that.
Sure. And obviously Malik Sherrod didn't play this past Saturday. I mean, the backup stepped in, in a great way. I mean, Donaldson and Gilliam deserve their flowers and everything, though. But will that be the same story against the Lobos? How much of the run game, how much of a part will it play in the offensive strategy, whether if Sherrod's in or with Gilliam or Donaldson?
Yeah, we're committed to running the ball, and we have a formula ourselves. For us, if we hit the number 50 plus between rush attempts and completions, we feel really good that we're going to win the game. The stats show that over the last 7-8 years. So, for us, we are committed to running the ball. And we need to be more productive running the ball, in my opinion. But at the same time, we're going to continue to do it, kind of regardless of who's back there. Because ultimately, that's the way that championship teams are. I mean, if we just sit there and drop back pass all the time, that's not fair to really Mikey or the offensive line or anybody. We need to be able to establish some level of balance as far as commitment to the run game.
Oh, for sure. And, the offense has won, these past few games in different capacities. You've utilized the long ball and the deep threats, even ball distribution amongst the position players, game time management. What will be the key ingredient from the offensive side of the ball that will put the Bulldogs in a position to win against that, tough UNLVD?
Yeah, and UNLV's really good on defense, and we've got to find ways to effectively run the ball, and they're really good on all three levels from a personnel standpoint. They're good in the secondary. They got really good linebackers, and then their D line's good as well. So, in order for us to be able to try and create matchup situations that we love, we've got to be able to effectively run the ball. I think that's really where it starts, and and then just kind of build from there, because they're good, but we like our receivers too. We like our tight ends in the pass game too. So we've got to make sure that we're effective really in both phases of the game.
You kind of already answered it. I didn't know Raylan went to Allen, which is really impressive as their quarterback. But when you're thinking of this play design, is there a tryout, or are you already saying no, it's going to be Raylan throwing the ball?
The guys don't realize this. Every time they're over there playing catch or whatever, I'm evaluating. I have a really good idea of exactly how every receiver and how every running back throws the ball. So that's they don't know it. It's always a tryout, and I got a short leash on that. You get eliminated real quick, and it's kind of always the joke. Hell, I should have been a quarterback. You probably shouldn't, bro. Like you're probably playing the position you need to, but then you identify pretty quickly the guys that can do it, and the cool thing is then you start seeing hey, who's a right-handed guy, who's a lefty. So that's really, it's an ongoing process.
When it comes to these 2-point conversions or goal lines, you've utilized all three quarterbacks. What kind of luxury has that given you, and what kind of experience has that given to a guy like Mandel?
Goes back to the game reps thing. It's just Jaden. It's just the situation hasn't really arose for him to get a bunch of game reps. He played a little bit against New Mexico State, down the line, and but just critical moments. I mean, the two-point conversions that he's been in on have been the first touchdown of the game. So at the end of the day, it's game reps, and that's incredibly valuable over time.
Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
Coach Skip talked about how UNLV can really control the clock, eat up the clock. Going into this game, is there any kind of added pressure knowing there's maybe less possessions for the offense, knowing that maybe we got to be more precise, obviously, converting touchdowns instead of field goals?
I wouldn't say added pressure, because once you're in Mountain West play, the pressure's all the same. I think what it really comes down to, though, is we take the ball security side of things very seriously. We can't give them possessions on top of it. We've got to be effective. We've got to score points, yes. But I feel that every time we touch the ball. And my frustration when we go 3 and out or don't finish with a touchdown is going to be the same regardless. Where I come from, I'm trying to score points, and so probably the big thing I would just say is we just got to make sure we don't give them possessions on top of it.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
What gives you the confidence to give a true freshman 8 carries, including 1 around the goal line, and what has Bryson Donaldson done to earn that confidence?
Bryson did a great job, really this summer, just as far as kind of figuring things out. And I think one of the most important things to getting 8 carries is his commitment. And really, Aaron Pryor's done a really good job as a coach with him as far as getting him ready in pass protection. Like that's the thing. I mean, if we can only put you in to run the ball, it really limits me, as far as kind of my ability to kind of get in any type of rhythm, because we're going to throw the ball too, and so. To Bryson's credit, he's done a great job from learning pass protection, understanding the rules, and I think that's the most important part, because we don't feel like we have to take him off the field, in those situations, So to his credit, he's done a great job learning and preparing himself.
Last year, you guys kind of started slow against UNLV, and then you scored like 17 unanswered points or something like
24.
that. 24, yeah. 17-7 or 31-17.
Who's counting?
I am, obviously. But do you remember that game last year, exactly what you did to turn it around, and what is UNLV's defense looking like this year compared to last?
Yeah, I think the main thing that, I feel like when I reflect back on the first half, I was, much more focused on, I was trying to get the first down of every drive, and it's just like we just got to play to our players' strengths and just do what we do. I think that I probably, pressed on some things, like as far as, just trying to be efficient on first down on the first play, and we just got to play. We come up with a plan and we feel really good about the plan, and we got to just go execute it. And so I look back on it like I don't think I called a great game in the first half last year. And really, when you look at them this year, they're really sound. The guys play really fast, and they're talented at all three levels. So the challenge is cut out for us because to me, like, they're a pretty complete defense. And so ultimately, just come back. We got to go out there and do our thing. We're good too. Like, that's the thing. I think that that's at the end of that's the message. It's two good teams. And they're good on defense, and I think we're pretty good on offense. So it's the challenge is there, but I think at the same time it's an exciting matchup.
This is the second game in 4 games that the team's gone for 2 for opening touchdown. I'm just curious on the philosophy of that, of wanting to go for it early on that early part of the first touchdown and going up 8 instead of 7 on that.
I usually find out on game day that that's the plan, and those are more special team situations, as far as, like Coach Baxter does such a great job as far as identifying, when we've got something that we feel really good about and developing those plays. In particular, we've got our offensive 2-point plays where if Skip tells me, hey, we're going for it for 2, I've got kind of my plan, hey, we got this one for the win, we got this one if he just tells us to go for 2. With the overtime rules, you always have to have a ton of 2-point plays available to you anyways, because you have to start going for 2, really in the second overtime, you have to. But really, it's just one of those things where, they recognize something and they say, hey, first touchdown, we're doing this, or, mid-drive maybe, hey, if we get it, we're going for 2. It's just more so a feel thing by those guys, probably more than anything.
And then Mikey completed 10 different targets, but his completion percentage was high, with 78% completion. I'm just curious, just on the flip side, of how difficult it is to be on the same page with a lot of those guys on offense that he targets, because you have the depth there, but sometimes it's a lot of guys to be connected with on offense.
Yeah, so I think that's a twofold thing. And the crazy thing is, in my opinion, we dropped a couple balls, and there's probably 2 or 3 that Mikey wants back. It's crazy enough, he probably should have been 32 for 33 the other night, like, just legitimately. I think it's 2 things. Mikey does a great job in the offseason and in fall camp of building chemistry with guys. And then we have a practice philosophy of, we really go equal reps, and we really balance out. You might see guys that are normally with the 2s repping with the 1s. I basically look at it like, hey, I'm going to put guys in different situations. I might put, Lyndon Rivar with the 1s so that Magdalena can get a certain rep with the 2s because he needs the play more than he needs the rep with Mikey maybe. So we kind of freely rotate in practice, and I think that chemistry just kind of builds over time. And, I think Mikey just has a lot of confidence on where guys are going to be at. Thank you guys for coming.